Hey guys, this is Parky from Blue Turret bringing another Clan Wars commentary. This week is a treat. I was able to get one of the best replays of the year. This is Guerrillas versus Havok, two of the best clans in World of Tanks. Not only that, but they're competing for the #1 spot in the second campaign. If Havok wins this battle, they will get first place, which brings a 3x multiplier as well as 1,000,000 gold. But if G wins, they'll win that instead. So this is a Siegfried Line. Havok's attacking in the landing zone on the north side 2 of the map. If you look at Havok's tank comp, they have a real interesting tank comp with one artillery Sputter, who's an incredible arty player. I know him from Bad and also in Havok. He plays incredibly well. 4 TDs and E4, 3 268s, 3 Batchats, 357s, 2 IS4s, and 2 E100s. And that's a really interesting and unique tank composition, as there's so many different tanks being used that you don't normally see these tanks being used together as well, especially in a closed city attack. Here we have Havok scouting Guerrillas seeing 2 or 3 tanks in the city. That's pretty normal to scout that. As far as Siegfried Line, you normally see most of your attacks go through the city of the map, because going, pushing 4-line or through the field, it's so easily countered that you don't normally see that. So the field is generally a couple mediums skirmishing just to make sure that mediums don't flank around and kill artillery. This is generally an artillery map that's difficult to play, but artillery can play very well and do lots of damage on this map. They just have to get the extreme angles into the city, which gives them the damage. The IS4s are a really interesting choice by Havok. They're a pretty bad tank. They have poor DPM, bad front armor, not very good speed. They have a great health pool and great side scraping abilities, but they're generally not a good tank. The 57s with the heat nerf makes them bad at doing damage to larger tanks, especially E100s. So I'm surprised they're bringing 357s. The Batchats are great, although I'm surprised they're bringing 3. The 268s as well, they're a very lightly armored tank, 1950 health. They can't push corners. They have great camo, so I guess if G pushes through the 8-9 line, they can do lots of damage. But this Havok tank composition is really surprising me. And I'm not saying it's bad, because obviously they're Havok. Maybe their players feel comfortable in this kind of formation. But to me, I just don't see this composition inherently giving them an advantage when it comes to hit points or damage or burst or anything like that. Here we see that there's at least possibly one artillery by Guerrillas, as well as the 62A playing the field. Almost mirrored strats by Guerrillas. I would assume that they have maybe 1 or 2 artillery, a whole bunch of tanks on the G line covering the city, maybe a couple at G6, G8, G9, kind of right next to the buildings. Havok's mediums are doing a really good job spotting right now, trying to figure out where are Guerrillas players, trying to find a weak spot in their formation to push. Havok's Batchat does take a pretty big shot there. I'm not sure what it was from. It might have been artillery, but it was a pretty big hit. Maybe a tank destroyer. No, it'd be hard to get hit by artillery in there. It's probably a tank destroyer that got a really high roll. This is a huge game. The nerves of all these players must be pretty big, unless they're just used to playing under this pressure. But 1,000,000 gold as well as a 3x multiplier, and being able to call yourself the #1 clan in the second campaign is a pretty big deal. So we'll see how this game pans out. Right now, Havok's forces are moving to the west along the 6-7 line. It looks like they are preparing to push. They are massing. I'm not sure what they scouted that led them to think that this was a vulnerable part of the map. Maybe they're trying to get a snipe on the 62A in the field. Maybe they think that it's going to push up and they can get an easy snipe on it. I'm not really sure. Here they do say there's a couple E100s and E5s blocking off the western part of town. This might make them reconsider their push. I do think this is probably because to get... If you look at the E100, where's this gun thing? I do think they're trying to get a possible snipe on the 62A in the field by Captain Reroll, who's playing over there. But Havok is massing to push the western 6 line of this town, and we'll see if they actually push it and are able to. One medium, I did miss that, but one medium, the medium that was poking in town, did go down to, I think, tank or an E100 shot, which is unfortunate. That's not a game ending loss, but losing a tank, especially when you're attacking, is difficult to come back from. So they definitely do have to play out of this small hole that they have brought themselves in. I know the 62A in the field is playing defensively. He hasn't lit in the past couple minutes, so he is doing a good job. Something that's interesting is that Havok's players did go really far north before coming to the 5 line, which I think they did that so they weren't spotted, so that Guerrillas doesn't know how many tanks are massed up on this 5 line. And it looks again like they are trying to get a 62A snipe on that field. I don't know what else they would be doing. Maybe Guerrillas... This was part of a series of battles. Maybe Guerrillas had done some 3-4 line pushes against Havok, so Havok's trying to counter something they had seen previously, but in this game, I don't think Guerrillas is going to do a 4-line push, as it's so open that if it is countered, you just can't come back from it. Doing a blind push like that is really, really dangerous to do. Due to the tank destroyers holding down that 8-9 line, if Guerrillas does push into the 8-9 line of town, those 268s will have a field day blasting that apart, and I don't think they would be spotted until mediums pass the D line. So that is a great position. As far as Havok's comp, I'm surprised we don't see more E100s, more E4s with the turret, maybe even some more waffles, because they are blatantly overpowered with 3.1k damage clips. It's also interesting that they only brought one artillery and they brought a 92 as opposed to a 53-55. That's an arguably better artillery due to its faster reload time. And they're not putting an artillery at A1. A lot of times attackers will try putting that artillery up at A1 to get that extreme angle into the city, which they're just not trying to do here. It does look like Havok has decided, based on where Sarge is pinging, that they are going to push the city. They must have had to see Guerrillas do a 4-line push beforehand. I just don't see why they would bring so many tanks over to that 4-line unless they had seen a medium push that had capped them out previously. So I think that earlier in the series, based on what I'm seeing Havok doing here, that Guerrillas must have done a 4-line push into their cap, because otherwise there's no reason to put so many tanks back there to trying to thwart a 4-line attack. When a clan plays in a series of battles, it's a lot more interesting than if you just have one battle, because then you fight different possible outcomes that you've seen previously. It's almost like a chess match, trying to see which tank comp and strategy you can use to counter what you saw previously. Havok's tanks are coming back in the city. It really surprised me that they're actually peeking this line right here, because if there were any tanks pre-aimed down there, maybe a waffle or a tank destroyer or even an artillery, these Havok tanks could have gotten obliterated. If you have an E3 or a 263 or a waffle or an E4 pre-aiming down this road right here, you can take lots of damage, but somehow Havok knew that they wouldn't take damage pushing down this 7 line, which I wouldn't have been able to call that. I would have assumed that I would have taken damage, but it looks like Havok, based on where they are pinging, are going to try and push this 6, 7, 8 line with all of their tanks. And I'm worried right now. I mean, I don't see how with so many 268s and light heavies and bad chats that Havok can push Guerrillas out of this city, especially with how many heavy tanks we're seeing from Guerrillas. They just have a blatant hit points advantage. This is going to be a difficult push. If somehow Havok can get on all sides and get a crossfire going, I think it's definitely possible. Here the Bat Chat and 62 are fighting out in the field, and they also move up here, and still taking no damage. Guerrillas are not pre-aiming any of these corridors in the city. I would have thought for sure that there would have been TDs pre-aiming down that road to the top right, and they'd have gotten a couple shots on these 6 tanks. These 6 tanks would have to be spotted right now. Guerrillas knows that these 6 heavies are in the city, and they know where Havok's push is coming from, so they're rotating tanks to thwart this right now. And the fact that they're just sitting here is allowing Guerrillas tanks, if there are any unallocated tanks, to move into position to thwart this. An arty shot does miss along with the E100 shot, but a Guerrilla shot does do damage into the E100. The score is Havok down 1 tank. Nice shot there by the 57. I'm surprised he was able to pen that. Must have gotten him in the turret. Oh, it's an E4. It's not difficult to pen. Never mind. That was the E100. And the 268s are moving up the C0 line as well. Those 268s are just so problematic when pushing a city. Here, Sarge crosses a corner, just take a nasty side shot from an E100. Looks like Havok is getting ready to push. Nice shot there by It's Gonna Rain onto that E100. This is going to be a difficult push. Guerrillas has so many heavy tanks and tank destroyers that pushing this with the 268s is going to be incredibly difficult. Nice arty shot by Sputter into those 2 tanks, bringing 2 of the tanks down to half health. It is such a difficult shot into that corridor right here. Sputter's doing a great job on that arty play. And here come the 268s down the 0 line. Havok is going to push. This is it. This is the game. This is the campaign right here. 3 268s rounding the corner. They're going to get annihilated. These tanks are going to just take a shitload of damage from these tanks pre-aiming on the corner. The IS Force have got to get around and do some damage. 1 268 taking almost dead, probably going to go down here. No, he doesn't make it around the corner. No, he does die. That 268 just taking a shitload of damage. The second 268 taking another face full of damage from these 7 tanks pre-aiming over there. Here, Havok does push in, down 2 tanks. And a Bat Chat managing to break through into Guerrilla's backfield. Varel scoping in his tunnel vision. Nice shot by Sarge taking out Arty. And the Bat Chat has made it into Guerrilla's backfield. Is the Arty going to drop? Is the artillery going to drop here? It's a huge play. Artillery does drop. due to Guerrillas not being able to hold off that Batchat. Great flanking play by M5. That's incredible. And now Guerrillas are all looking back trying to kill the Batchat instead of looking at the tanks right in front of their face that are pushing in the city. And Havok's come up 3-2 with the Artie kill, as well as an E4 and an E100 kill. Havok is winning the game. Simple as that. The 268s are stalled behind that corner, but they are pinning down a Leopard. And Havok still isn't in a good spot right here. They have a whole bunch of heavy tanks holding them back, but Havok's still doing lots of damage, angling their shells. Looks like Havok will be able to push the center, and Guerrilla's center is going to break with the E5 going down, as well as the low health E100. Havok is going to break. Ray shot misses there. Havok's middle, or Guerrilla's middle, excuse me, is going to break. Planted going down. Savior and these tanks in the middle here are pushing 3 versus 1. They are going to break Guerrilla's center, which is huge. These mediums in the backfield of Guerrilla's not being able to do enough damage to these heavy tanks to keep the formations solid. Score is 6-4 right now. Still an incredibly close game. But these Guerrilla mediums right now are just not able to do enough damage into these heavy tanks to keep their formation clear. Right now it is a 3 versus 3 on these tank destroyers kind of in this corner right here. If it's going to rain to come over here and help them out, they can break this right here. If these 3 tanks in front of us right now go down, the game is over. Taking a lot of damage from the 57's clip. A 4% tank does go down with a 6% and 16% Waffle going down. This Waffle is clipped. Nice Artie kill in the IS-4. Nice kill by Sarge on the Waffen right there. The score is 9-5. Looks like Havok is going to win this game possibly. An E100 shot misses the possible kill shot on Sarge. The score is 10-5. That's incredible. There is a medium skirmish off to the bottom right corner between a Leopard and a Batchat. Looks like the Batchat is clipping, wasn't able to kill the Leopard. This E100 is going to drop. Looks like a Batchat is trying to get around into the Havok artillery line. There is a 268 that will be able to intercept that. Another bounce shot on Sarge from another E100, which could have been a kill shot. You know, it's still anyone's game if people get lucky, but right now... Now will this E100 drop right here? E100 shot does bounce. The IS-4 shot does get the kill. Will that Batchat drop to a 268? Oh, he does. The 268 is able to kill the Batchat. Something incredible about Havok is their ability to split hit points between low health tanks. A 5% tank. 16, 12, 11, 2. They have at least 6 one-shottable tanks on the field right now. That ability to split your health between low health tanks, keeping as many tanks on the field, is incredibly hard to do. Here we have Captain Reroll trying to save the game, killing 1 tank, and lighting Cap with 3 one-shottable tanks on Cap. This could still possibly, I guess, but not really turn out in Guerrilla's favor. An artillery shot does go down. The Guerrilla medium does go down, but Cap is still lit. There's an artillery shot into Cap, bringing this Cap down to 38 Cap points. Turn out it's a minute left with 1 Havok player on Cap. Havok either has to kill this last Artie player or Cap out. But if you look at the timers, it's 52 to 53. So they will be able to cap out with 1 player unless another lucky artillery shot comes in and ruins the game for Havok. This is incredibly close. 45 seconds down to the wire. Havok needs to kill this last artillery player or cap out. They desperately need a second person on Cap to close out this game. The artillery is at K1. He should be lit. They just pinged the corner where he has been shooting from the entire game. 28 seconds. There we go. The second player just get on Cap. That will be the game for Havok. Incredible game. Havok is going to take first place in the campaign along with a 3x multiplier and a million gold. Incredible game by both clans. Solid effort. Should be commended to both clans. Great job. I hope you guys enjoy. This might be the best replay of 2013. So I will see you guys next time.